Hey amazing people, welcome back to the channel, and today's going to be a game changer because we're talking about a word that is often bandied around but never really drilled into when it comes to making it a default setting, and that will change a life like you wouldn't believe. Welcome to gratitude. Now, the first question to ask is, why should gratitude be a default setting? You know, we can have many default settings, but why specifically gratitude? Gratitude is the closest thing to unconditional love that we can actually experience. And most people don't have a reference for unconditional love because we grew up with a model of parenting that essentially created conditional love. If we behave in a certain way, then the perception of the child is that mum and dad approve, validate, give connection, love, etc. And if mum and dad are not happy, then the perception is love is withdrawn. Now, it doesn't mean to say that love was actually withdrawn, but that's the perception. So the long and short is many people grow up projecting into their own relationships a model of conditional love. In other words, in order for you to make me happy, you have to act a certain way. You get the idea. Gratitude is completely different. Gratitude brings us into a place where we are no longer putting conditions around why we should feel good or happy. Gratitude and unhappiness don't coexist. They don't lie in the same bed. But what are some of the benefits of gratitude? Why should we go after this and build the muscle? Well, increased happiness, obviously, increased mental health, less prone to depression or anxiety. You've got better biochemistry for health. When you experience gratitude, your immune system upregulates. You have no fighting between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You age slower. You have huge benefits when it comes to resilience against things like viruses, for example, all documented in medical fact. Just being grateful for 20 minutes a day can actually increase the uptake of Ig1, immunoglobulin 1, a big part of the immune system, by up to 20% in studies. That is huge. You can't afford high quality food, or you're struggling to find a health shop to sell vitamin C. You don't need it. Stay for gratitude 20 minutes a day and your immune system will experience greater benefits. You get the idea, right? I'm not saying use that as a substitute. If you layer these things together, they're more powerful. But when you realize the empowerment that cultivating an attitude of gratitude gives you, just in the physical sense, it is non-negotiable for you to commit to the time. Now, what are some of the ways that you can actually practice gratitude? Well, there's a key distinction here. Obviously, there's a big phase right now where people are signing up or getting apps that are around gratitude journaling. Well, gratitude journaling is useful, but it's only step one, and step one doesn't produce the result you're looking for. What do I mean by that? See, we have a thinking center and a being center. We can get stuck in our head and we can actually experience life. So when we are writing things in our gratitude journal, it is really a left brain exercise. It's really a thinking exercise. It can have some great benefits, but it doesn't get you the result you're looking for. For that, you have to move from your thinking center into your being center. So what a gratitude journal does, it tees up the actual journey from thinking to being. If you can't think of something to be grateful for, then writing in your gratitude journal or going back to it reminds you of what you can then connect to emotionally. Because there is a huge difference between thinking of something to be grateful for and actually expressing or experiencing the feeling of gratitude. Now, one is useful to get to the other, but it's really the feeling or expressing gratitude that creates the benefits. Another way to practice gratitude and build that default setting is by expressing gratitude. Now, this is something that we don't really do a lot. And the reason most people don't express gratitude authentically is because most people are too busy trying to get gratitude from other people. Everybody's walking around with the same agenda, trying to do something so that they can feel appreciated. But when you give appreciation from an authentic place, when you take the time to say thank you, and not in an offhand way where it's from a default part of the brain, but from a place where they feel it, where you take them time, you connect, you look them in the eye, and they actually feel your words rather than just hear your words. could be something as simple as the person in Starbucks that's stressed out trying to serve all these customers, and when they hand you the latte, you turn around and they've got their names on. You say, "Hey, Peter, I just want to say thank you. All right? Really means a lot." You know? Boom. You could shift somebody's day by doing that. And when you start to see the feedback that you'll get from a lot of the people, you'll not want to give this up as a practice. So expressing gratitude more often is a way to really build in the benefits of gratitude while also building the habit of experiencing gratitude. Another great way to make gratitude your default setting is to ask better questions. For example, if you have something in the outer world that doesn't fit your pictures, as we all do, unmet expectations are a really key part of why most people don't experience joy and happiness. But if you were to trade your expectations for appreciation, all of a sudden your life can shift in a heartbeat. Tony Robbins is quite big on this, and as most people know, I spent many, many years working as an experienced trainer for Tony. And one thing that it really taught me was how to ask questions when it comes to being grateful for things, especially things that most people wouldn't normally associate with things to be grateful for. If you've read my best-selling book, The Inside Track, you'll understand what a prominent role that played in my life when I lost everything. And instead of thinking about what I've lost, I started to look at what have I learned. How can this turn into an exciting adventure? What is it about this situation I can still be grateful for? And when you start to train yourself to ask those kind of questions, even in the face of adversity or upset or tragedy, you start building a superpower that allows you to really create the world in favor of you rather than continue to be a victim of it. And my final tip for today, which is another amazing way to really deepen the habit and practice of gratitude, is something that we do every single day for the most part, and that is eat. Now, you see a lot of people be thankful for their food. And yes, if you are presented with a plate of food, you see a lot of people give thanks prior to eating. That is a great way to be grateful for our daily bread, for example. But it goes deeper than that. Instead of just being grateful for the food or the plants or animals that sacrifice themselves so that you can continue your game, what about going further? What about being grateful for the people who prepared it, if it wasn't you? What about being grateful for the people who worked on the farm that helped cultivate or pick the products that you're now consuming? What about being grateful for the people who created the businesses that allowed the transportation that brought that food to the supermarket? What about being grateful for having the biology to be able to go to the shops and be able to walk to the shops so you can collect the food that you can bring home? About being grateful for the fact you have a kitchen to prepare it in, for example. Rather than just being grateful for the food, try to link all of the different steps along the way from the origination of that food to its final destination on your plate, and just be in awe of the fact that if any one of those steps wasn't there, then you wouldn't be eating today. So, the people tending the gardens where it grew, the people that served you at the checkout in the supermarket. There are so many different areas that you could go back and you could pick dozens and dozens just for one plate of food. Being grateful for the people that invented the oven, for example, the modern oven, the electric oven, whatever it may be. You could keep going and really start to go on a journey, an odyssey of gratitude over something as simple as the meal you're eating. Go have fun with this, but really remember the upside to what it takes to being able to cultivate that gratitude. Because when you see the payoff, the joy, the emotional upgrade that you experience, the transitions from anxiety to happiness, the outer world rearranging itself to present you with more opportunities to be grateful, the ability not to get thrown off the horse when it bucks, as it often does in life, where things don't fit our pictures. And then people look around you and say, wow, there's just some level of calmness, serenity around that person. And they always seem to see the upside, which is a beautiful place to be. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and also check out the link below where I'm going to share with you one of my trainings on ultimate self-mastery, which one of the entire weeks of our 52-week program is where we focus on really a masterclass in gratitude so we can make that a default setting at a deeper level. Until then, keep practicing what you learned today. Go check out the masterclass. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm very grateful that you came here today.